Alrighty, here we go. Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us for the first FNM of 2024. Oh man, you beat Dax. I am the one and only bfine, joined by my lovely co-hosts this week, Alkadron and Ankylosaur, aka Dave and David. Thanks for joining, guys.
Wow.
Thanks for having us.
Nice. Perfect. So this is going to be like the first, the trial run, as it were, of this new kind of FNM format thing where basically we're just like have a few people talk about, whatever they want to talk about, PDH related, assuming. And then we'll watch some games that go down, give away some tokens and other prizes to people, and have a good, fun Friday night PDH time. So,
I was really close to being like mad about the tokens because like I read the stuff that like people who play in the games are like eligible to get tokens, and I was like, I'm the idiot. I like he suckered me into doing this like voice thing, so I can't play in the game, and I'm not gonna get any tokens. But then I remembered I'm already getting tokens because I made the extremely wise decision to become a Patreon a while ago, and now I just get tokens. And
yeah,
you should too.
Yeah, you beat me to the punch. I guess I'll real quick kind of go over that for people. So I know I made the announcement a little bit ago, but for those who don't know, I have them on screen now. So all of the two winners of the 3 tournaments last year got a custom token made after some talking with them and based on the decks they played. So we have Gator Bait with 2 different tokens, a treasure for Malcolm Kedis and a soldier for Abdel Adrian. And then we had Caitlin, aka Mini CJ, with a goblin token from Dargo Kedis. So we made a bunch of those, and so this year the plan is to give them out to... I sent out the handfuls of them to all the different patrons already this week. So they should be getting them on Monday. Monday is the goal. And then we're also going to be giving them out along the way this year at FNM. So we're going to have anyone who plays in a game each Friday night is going to have their name entered into a giveaway for whatever that week's prizes are. This week, we're going to give away one set of one of each of the regular, like non-foil tokens. And I'm going to also give away one set of foil tokens for those who are into shiny, blingy things. And that'll change over the course of the year. It'll usually just be tokens, but might sneak in free tournament entry here and there, something like that. But yeah, so you can get them. You can join the Patreon like Alkadron did, and it is greatly appreciated. All that Patreon stuff just goes to, adding more prizes to future tournaments and leagues and making these awesome tokens. You can be entered in the giveaway by playing an FNM, and then, like I said, we'll also have them as prizes for the leagues and the sanctuary tournaments throughout the year. So, yeah, I just got these on Tuesday. I think I was in like the morning chat with everyone, and I did like a live unboxing, and they are so awesome. I don't know, the quality is great. I didn't know what to expect because I had never ordered like these from this place before, and they came out great. So super stoked, and super stoked for everyone else to get them too, because I can only use so many tokens, so I need to distribute them to the masses.
That
art is amazing.
That sounds incorrect. Don't you play Abdel Adrian? Like you have you can. There is no upper limit to the amount of tokens you make in Abdel Adrian.
Fair. You're right. I could do that. Same with treasures too, I suppose. Well, there is an upper limit there, but I could find ways, but it's not as fun just using them myself. So I need other people to take them and use them. I don't have a cool graphic for this one, but there's also, for everyone going to MagicCon Chicago, which I think everyone here is going to MagicCon Chicago. I will have the super cool food tokens I'll be giving out too. So I'll post a picture of those at some point. I don't remember if I did or didn't, but yeah, super excited to give those out too. So, ooh, we have a wild Scooby showing up. So, um,
I love that guy.
yeah,
I got to have dinner with that guy. Lunch?
dinner.
It's all a blur. I got to hang out with that guy a couple weeks ago. It
Oh
was
no,
awesome.
nice. Well, now I'm
Yeah.
extra jealous. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so we'll talk about other stuff, fun sanctuary stuff later, I'm sure. But um, I guess we'll talk about some magic in the meantime, as opposed to just like plans and pictures and whatnot. So one thing we wanted to talk about, and David actually was talking about this before, um, after looking at some of the data that the CPDH guide put out in their Discord server, is what kind of talking about mid ranges, current place in the format, and specifically black decks. I think that was the kind of how it all started, looking at the breakdown of how black decks are performing in comparison to other color, combinations. And that's like multicolor decks too. So like black, Demir, Golgari, whatever. And just kind of maybe trying to figure out why that is, or, answering the fun question of what is mid range, which eludes everyone. So, David, I'll let you kind of kick off with your thoughts and kind of what you saw just going through the guide data.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the graphs that was put out shows the winningest colors in competitive play over the past quarter, and sort of unsurprisingly, blue is the most winning color. Red also up there. White doing pretty well. Colorless just slightly above the median. Green slightly below the median, and then black is real bad.
Yeah.
Black has been struggling very, very hard in competitive play this past quarter. And I was just sort of curious as to why that is. And as we were discussing it, Bobby, I believe you made the point that it probably ties into mid-range and what its deal is in the tournament scene at the moment as well.
Yeah, because I looking, you kind of, and I know I was looking at that data a little bit ago, and Bodarn put it out, all the fun graphs that are fun to look at, and then I sometimes understand and sometimes don't. So black, like you said, it was like the real big outlier, but then when you look at archetypes, you see mid range kind of in that same spot, not as greatly, not as great of an outlier as when you're looking at like the color chart. But yeah, and like thinking of like what decks are playing black in like the meta game, whatever you want to call that right now. There's not a lot of them. So there's that. Like I think of like Loyal Subordinate. I think of Wilson and Agent of the Shadow Thieves. I know there's been some white black Abdel variants, some Ela Silkcore, like a handful of things. But just talking through that list, that's all mid-rangey, except for Loyal Subordinate is kind of an aggressive deck.
Yep.
I'm sure maybe Abdel variants were called combo along the way, but most of that just falls into that mid-range category. I know recently there have been, I've been playing Cormella and Disciple of Deceit. I know some people are picking up Armix and Tormod a little bit more, so we'll maybe see that change a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of I think there's just not. I guess I didn't look at the popular, like black is still a popular color. It's in 22.1% of the decks played in this chart. So it's not like it's just not showing up and not doing well. It's showing up. It's the second most popular color and not, not living up to that expectation, I guess. So yeah, I guess what, and Dave, maybe you have some thoughts too. What, like, when you think of black decks in PDH and mainly in like the competitive kind of sphere, what do you think is lacking, or do you think there's something lacking? What do you
So
think of that?
I'll preface this by saying that I have been not paying close attention to the competitive scene for the last couple months, so I don't know exactly what it looks like. But I know that Larry has been a big deal as an aggro deck. Last I checked, Rilsa was making waves. I
Yep.
don't know if that uh, fad has passed or if Rilsa is still a big deal. Um, honestly, I'm basing a lot of this off of RIW,
Yeah,
which
no,
was
that's
not
fair.
recent. Um, and yeah, I know like Disciple. So I think Larry is kind of the quintessential black aggro deck. I think of Rilsa as sort of the quintessential black mid-range deck,
Hmm.
where by which I just mean that it wants to be attacky and aggressive enough to get in underneath the control decks. Like it wants to outrun the control decks, but also it wants to have enough control that it can trip up the aggro decks. That's my version of mid range is enough control to get the aggro deck to face plant, but enough aggro to undercut the control deck. So I think Rilsa's there.
Yeah.
I think that I know that Disciple of Deceit has been going around as a combo deck
Yeah.
that accomplishes things pretty effectively. I've been told. Um, so I think we have black being represented in every major archetype. I I have no insight into like why black is doing comparatively awful. Sniff has some really excellent insight that I'm
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read from the chat. He says, I think black is often forced into the I have to deal with this problem role at a table, and they get to the point where they run out of action while the others at the table are just fine because they don't interact nearly as much. Um, that's not Alkadron. What?
That is Alkadron.
I, this is I am Alkadron. I am not Alkadron. I've been accused many times of being not Alkadron. I am in fact Alkadron. Um, yeah, I think that this is kind of a problem. I think what Sniff has described is a problem sort of generally with the idea of control decks, and I think that that's why control. I think that's one of the reasons control has been like falling out of favor. Is people are just sort of. I think decks have become a lot more greedy about what they're trying to do lately, and I recognize that in common parlance, greedy is often associated with negative things. I don't mean this as a criticism. I mean this as an observation. I think that decks are trying to be a lot more. I'm going to power through and do the thing immediately, and they're a lot less. I'm going to try and prevent other people from doing things, and I'm going to try to like control the table. They're just like
Yeah.
instead of trying to stop someone else, they're gonna try to outrun someone else. Like we're seeing more turbo combo and more aggro and less control and less mid range. I think that is exactly because of what Sniff House says. If you're the control deck, you have to deal with everyone, and you
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. And I think part of that's like just the card pool we have in Popper. I mean, part of it's multiplayer in general, right? Like you're one player trying to keep, three other players under control is a lot harder to do that in that kind of setting than it is in 1v1. That's just the nature of Magic. But yeah, part of it, the other part is, we don't have wraths really, like the widespread number of wraths. We have some sweepers that can be pseudo wraths or get rid of a chunk of things, but very rarely are they getting rid of everything. We don't have as many reset buttons. We have, there are flesh bags, there are breath weapons, there are floodgates, but there are not, ways to get rid of everything all the time. And that's a big deal too when we're talking about a format that is based on creatures, whether you're comboing or not, or attacking. Like everyone is relying on creatures to end the game in some way, shape, or form.
The the thing I'll add to that is that if you do find a way to get rid of everything, it's going to cost you catastrophically. Like you are going to like if you manage to set up the pestilence to wipe all the tokens and then follow that up with the flesh bag to kill the big thing that you really wanted to kill, like you can do that. That's possible. It's going to cost you the pestilence and the flesh bag and all of your mana for that turn and all of your creatures. Like you can solve that problem. Sure, there are ways, but it's going to cost you like 6 cards and like 5 life.
And you're
Like
not.
it's not. Go ahead.
It's a lot of cards, and you're also not doing that until relatively late in the game too. Like all of those
Right.
things are expensive. They take a good chunk of setup, and like, oh, let me go ahead and deal with that. Fun. Yeah, like it's just it takes a lot to get those set up. And so don't I don't think control is like unplayable. I don't think mid range is unplayable, but I think there has to be like a mindfulness for playing a lot more early, and like you have to play a lot of early 1-for-1s that maybe don't feel great, but then you also have to play a lot of ways to like get card advantage in the mid to late game to like recoup all those 1-for-1s you have to make early in the game to survive to the point where you get to do the multiple for ones. And I think
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that what you've just described is exactly what control needs to do. And I think that that's extremely difficult to do. I think it's easier for decks to just turbo instead.
Yeah.
Like instead of thinking really carefully about how, what's the correct number of 1-for-1s, like how many snuff outs, how many, cast downs, go for the throats, like what do I need in what ratios and in what proportions, and then all the treasure cruises and all that. Like instead of like very carefully like trying to tune your deck to do all that, you can just be like, what if I take all of that out of my deck and just run Lotus Petal instead? Like,
Yeah.
okay, like let's just go fast.
Yeah, like what if one person going like a portion of a turn faster overall with their deck is cutting out that much time for everyone else, and then it becomes like just a race, right? Like, all right, who's gonna be first? And then they're not loaded like you said, you're shaving answers to things to play protection for your stuff, so you're not
Right.
worrying about what everyone else, like as long as you get to protect what you're doing, who cares what anyone else is doing.
Right.
And I think we have seen that. I think and you'll get pods where games in turn 3, 4, 5, and it was a race. If this person didn't win, then they were gonna win. And seat order becomes a big thing there. But one thing I've been playing Cormella as of late, and while it's a combo deck insofar as it wins by comboing, like it's a control deck. It's not trying to win the game early or often or anything like that. It's I'm gonna make sure no one else wins and make sure other people are like being like a part of also stopping other people from winning. Let some people do their thing a little bit, and then once like everyone else has tried to combo off and been stopped or do their thing and been stopped, then I'm going to try to go for it because I've just like kind of outlasted them. And I think
I wonder if that's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go
I didn't
ahead.
mean to cut you off.
You're good.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if that's where mid-range and control has to be in the format, is that you can play that mid-range game, but you still need a way to end the game all in one turn, rather than just whacking people with Gurmag anglers or whatever, a little bit at a time. Like maybe that just doesn't cut it. I'm thinking of like
Hey.
the TPI deck from Riches to Rags, that play the TPI game plan, makes a bunch of soldier tokens which can block, which can attack and pressure people. It has some of those mid-range control elements, but it's also running like Drake combo, and
Sure.
and out of nowhere just draw the pieces it needs and win the game.
I think that what you've described was I think that you're absolutely right about where TPI needs to be right now. What you said about mid-range lacking in the sense of like it can't just be hoping to eventually accumulate enough Gurmag angler damage. I think that a year ago that's exactly what it was hoping to do. Because a year ago you were expecting other people to be on mid-range strategies on the table as well, and there were like 3 Gurmag anglers at the table, all whacking everyone else at the same time, and you just needed to be the one sitting on top of that mountain when it got close enough where you could kill everyone. And it's not that anymore. Like the format is just faster than that. It's like people have gone into turbo mode, and if you bring the mid-range deck, now you're going to be the only guy with the Gurmag Angler, and like you can't do 90 damage with the Gurmag Angler. Like you could have done 30
Yeah.
over a few turns with the help of some other people's Gurmag Anglers, but it's not there anymore.
Yeah, I think you brought up Rilsa as an example, and I know people have labeled their build to that anything from aggro to mid range to combo to control. Like I've seen Rilsa in just about every archetype label, but
Bird Horse is the same.
yeah, like I think I do like the idea of like, hey, like these decks having a combo finish is the one way to put it, or a way to end the game very quickly, not just like chunks at a time, because you can cripple a combo player, and they can be presenting when 2 turns later, if not 1 turn later. Like, there's a lot of redundancy all in like the combo decks now, like Malcolm combos, the Simic Freed combo decks. There's a billion of them, but there's just so much redundancy in pieces now, and so they aren't as all in on protecting one piece that if you stop them, they're out of luck. That I know that maybe used to be a thing, but now we have 2 versions of Flicker. We have like 5 ways to untap a creature. We have 4 artifact pingers. Like there's just so many combo pieces, and they get to find them all a billion different ways. And yeah, like you have to be ready to stop them early, but also often. Like they're just going to go for it again and again and again. And so, we talked about Abdel, right? Once it gets Abdel on board, it has the flickers. It isn't worried about that. So I think that's that. Like you can never count out the combo decks too. So that's why that you can be prepared to stop them, but if you're not stopping them often and then ending the game, like stopping them once is just like delaying the inevitable.
I've seen so many games end by someone crippling the combo deck and then not finishing the job, and then being really surprised when the combo deck comes back and combos. It's like, guys, you bought yourself a turn. You didn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
Like how do you not see this coming? Tatiova stops being a threat when that player is dead. Not when Tatiova costs 11, when the player is dead. Like you don't stop until that has happened.
Yeah, and the issue then you get into the issues where like if there's one mid-range player at a pot of 3 combo decks, like that's an uphill battle. You got to count on some. You kind of hope for some policing across the combo deck, stopping one another. But one interesting thing I'm curious how it'll play out over time is as we're, in the protect my combo, I'm curious how that change. Like, I don't know. I've had hands where like I can protect anything I'm doing, but my opponents can do whatever they want, and I can't do anything to stop them too. So
to that point, I was actually talking with Gator just a couple days ago on the podcast, and I was really shocked to learn that his Abdel list runs exactly 3 counter spells.
Yeah.
So I think the idea that when the mid-range deck sits down against 3 combo decks, like you're hoping that the combo decks will police each other, but I don't think they will. I think that they are like shirking counter spells, shirking control, and going instead for the redundancy. Like Gator gets away with 3 counter spells in Abdel because he doesn't need to protect the combo. If you stop the ephemerate, he's just gonna cloud shift. Like he doesn't care if you stop it one time. He's gonna do it again. Like he doesn't need to protect anything. Like the redundancy adds more value to the deck than trying to protect the first attempt.
Yeah.
Which also means that he's like this list is not in a position to to stop a turn 3 Malcolm game winning combo.
Right. And that's why.
And
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say after that finals where Gator won on turn 3, there was some discussion. I talked with Gator about this as well. There was a turn where Gitaxian probed me, the Satyr Enchanter player, instead of the other 2 combo decks. And he told me it was because he knew that the combo decks probably didn't have the interaction to stop him. He was worried about, if I had a ward of lights or something that, Vines of Vastwood, like as I'm the Voltron mid-rangey Satyr deck, I was the one that was actually packing that interaction. So he wanted to make sure the coast was clear by looking at me instead of the two Abdel deck.
I remember commentating some of your earlier rounds and watching the other players just drop crazy game-ending threats, and you, the green-white like mid-range beatdown player, you were the only one handling the threats with the Vines of Vastwoods and the Wards of Lights and the I don't know if you run Stave Off, but I just saw like
Pacifism sort of stuff, yeah.
pacifisms, yeah, like you, like O-Ring, I think you were the one handling all the threats, and everyone else was just like, oh great, and Keyless got it. We're gonna ignore it and keep on trying to turbo combo, and we'll see. Hopefully Ank is out of interaction after he stopped that person, and I'm in the clear. It was just heartbreaking to watch you like struggle against these three really greedy combo decks that weren't doing anything to police each other. It just
yeah,
run out of gas eventually. Like it's
and it's because then the deck that the mid range pile of cards, right? It desperately needs to like advance and build its board to build a threat, and when it's too busy making sure everyone else is in check, it's not doing that, which is really like I think kind of the crux of the mid range dilemma where we don't have a lot of free stuff we can do in the front. We don't have a lot of like good cheap threats. So you got to pick one or the other on a given turn, and if you're playing, stop other people from winning, you're not going to get to a spot where you're winning. If you're playing, I'm going to try to win, you're not stopping other people from winning. And your way to win isn't ending the game on the spot like everyone else's is. So,
you're just I mentioned earlier that I think mid-range needs to be, aggro enough to outrun the combo control deck. But we don't have combo control decks anymore. We have turbo combo decks, and mid-range is never going to outrun them.
Right.
So you either need to like just pack up the mid-range bag and like resign yourself to also going turbo combo and hoping that you have the better draw and that you can outrun the other guys, or you just need to go all in on control, and that's an uphill battle.
Yeah, I think you got to pick. Yeah, you kind of got to lean more aggressive or more control. Like and mid range decks do that for the most part. Like for the most part, you can kind of tell which way it's leaning. But I think now more than ever, like leaning, you got to lean harder, and it almost like wants you to push you to. Oh, thanks, Sniff. Sorry, I didn't even know ads are going, but I appreciate you. But yeah, so you kind of just got to like bite the bullet and go aggro or go control, and then cut your losses. So, not to say that, I mean, maybe someone else smarter than I can figure out mid range and how to make it work, but I do not want to be the one to do it. Is where I'm at with it.
many months ago, we brought Ryan onto the podcast, and we talked about mid-range decks, and I realized later that the deck that I brought onto that show to really illustrate the quintessential mid-rangeness of this thing was fundamentally a control deck. Like it's just not actually mid-range at all. And like that was an awkward realization to make, but like the more that I thought about that deck, the more that I like where it's at right now, because it is much more control-y than mid-range, and that's what I want to see more of in the competitive meta right now. I want to see things moving further away from like greedy turbo combo. I want to see things moving more towards like responsible. I have answers. I have interaction. Sort of control-y things, and that's what this deck is. This is the deck I'm going to bring to Sanctuary for.
Ooh,
and it's
spoilers.
It's just spoilers. It's a control deck, and it's black. But it is also at the same time a deck that I once very proudly presented to the world as a prototypical range deck, and I was just wrong about that.
Yeah, What deck was that, or what deck are you?
This is Vohar. I have a build of Vohar that I flatter myself to think is competitive, and at the time I thought it was mid range because it does try to pressure life totals throughout the game with madness creatures and Vohar's little life drain ability.
Mhm.
But it's just a control deck. Like the life drain, the creatures are incidental. It's got a lot of interaction. It's got a lot of spot removal, counter spells, some board wipes. It wants to slow everything way down so that it has time to do the life drain thing with Vohar and then kill people with Alms of the Vein. No combos, just Alms of the Vein.
Just so
So,
madness out the wazoo. So
oh yeah, I think I have like every legal madness card in the deck except Icar Slick because that one's a little much.
yeah, what that one's sick. Well, I guess it's only four if you're
Yeah,
getting rid of it with
four,
Vohar, but
Yeah, yeah.
still four is
Yeah.
still a lot.
Well,
I wish
Vohar.
it.
Oh, go ahead.
I wish it cycled for 4 and Madness for 2. Like
Yeah.
I feel like they really missed the the ratios on those cards' prices.
Yeah, or just split the difference, make it 3 and 3, and call
I
it a
would
day.
I would be okay with 3 and 3.
Yeah, I think that's, and I know Gator has been working on Azra with a kind of madness thing
Yeah,
too. I think
I played against that deck. It's rough.
yeah, I think that's an interesting, maybe mid-rangey take on it, where you are like those Vohar and Azra specifically are turning like discarding cards into card advantage that way. Azra, trying to draw more cards, Vohar doing the same thing and draining life totals. And I think that is like like maybe underexplored area where like, hey, let's turn this card disadvantage, discarding cards into additional value and kind of try to solve the card negative card, equity of like one for oneing, where that's turning into like a
Yeah.
one and a fraction for one, maybe.
Yeah.
You'd need
Depending
a
on the card.
mathematician.
That's my theory behind Aranis Street Urchin as well.
Yeah.
Oh
Is,
yeah.
yeah, lots of actions for one, and hoping that play a bunch of more marshals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can kill 3 things with that.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get to outrace people while policing the table. Though it does have the problem where its threats are like, I'm gonna dump a 5/5 on the board,
And hope no one
and it's
does
not even a
anything.
1 mana 5/5. It's a full price 5.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you actually. I just watched a really fascinating video about Arkham's Astrolabe, and that got me thinking. Do you have Astrolabe in Street Urchin?
I did at one point, but it's a fine card. Yeah.
Okay.
It's something I could definitely consider again, but yeah, I I do enjoy playing Astrolabe as well, so it's certainly something to consider.
Where do you fall on the Astrolabe and everything discussion?
Oh, me?
Who?
Oh, Alk. Sorry.
Which one of us?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I recently put together my 110th PDH deck in paper, and I have never put Astrolabe into anything. I recognize that it's a very good card. Like every single point Lobert made about it was great. It does fix your mana. It does replace itself. It is really cheap. I like a lot of the reasons I don't ever run it are just purely aesthetic. Like when I build a pauper deck, it's because there's a bunch of cards that I think are going to be really synergistically cool together, and I want to put them all in one deck. The idea of taking one out for an Astrolabe, even though like I recognize objectively that like the 99 card deck is better than the 100 card deck, and like I should be doing that, and I should be running Gix Probe and everything too because it's functionally free. But I don't want to. I want to play the 100 card deck. Like I would be okay playing a 113 card deck because I'm the guy who just like can't make those cuts.
Yeah.
So like the idea of cutting another card for Astrolabe is terrible. I'm just really, really picky about my lands. Every time I build a deck, just because it's Highlander, I want every single one of my lands to be different. And so like even in my decks, like I have a bunch of decks that want snow swamps because of Gangrenous Zombie. I only run 6 snow swamps because that's how many different snow swamps there are. And like the rest of the swamps are normal just because I don't want overlaps. Like I have I think I have 2 decks that are all in on the snowlands for other reasons, and like they irritate the hell out of me. Like I just cannot stand the uniformity of the lands. It's very upsetting. And yeah, both of those lists are really tight, and I don't want to do Astrolabe things in them. Again, purely for like personal aesthetics, not because I think it's a bad card.
Yeah.
Rune Crab, yeah, Sniff knows. Rune Crab is one of my all snowland stacks.
Yeah. Well, that one's, that one just makes sense. But yeah, I think
You got to run the Kankrix too.
yeah.
Exactly, it's the Crab
Yeah.
Squad.
I think they're like, I don't know. I like Astrolabe. I like value cards. I would love Prophetic Prism. I love all those silly things. But I think in terms of, if we're talking like strictly like competitive decks, like, and like if we're aiming like, hey, like I'm gonna make this deck the most streamlined thing ever. Very few decks actually like need Astrolabe. Like it's just like it's an okay card. It just sits there. It's like functionally putting your deck at like 99 cards sort of. But like there's a real like dollar cost to running Snowlands, which is worth considering. And like outside of like Astrolabe, Gangrenous Zombies, and Scred, and I know someone's going to chime in with a card I'm forgetting that cares about Snowlands. There aren't a lot of cards that care about Snowlands. Like the
Iceberg Cancerix, we just said
yeah,
it.
I see. There you go. And like the freed from the real decks, like they care because they have like 3 different untappers that care about snow permanents. So like there's a few, but outside of those decks, like I don't like. If you weren't gonna run Prophetic Prism, you probably aren't gonna run Arkham's Astrolabe. I mean, it's cheaper, but my only pushback would be like multicolor decks, like 3 and plus colors.
I guess like my thing there is that in my mind, Street Urchin feels like a deck that does kind of want the Prophetic Prisms, just because like, you know, if Astrolabe came with the ability, one sacrifice kill a creature, like
Yeah.
I would play that.
Definitely.
Like the 1-mana artifact that replaces itself and then kills something. Like I wanted to bring this up just because I feel like there are decks that really synergize with the artifact things, like artifacts that replace themselves and then you don't care about them a lot. Like I think that there are a bunch of those decks, and I think that those decks probably do want Astrolabe, but I don't know enough about Street Urchin or Airness to know if the Astrolabe makes the cut in that deck or not. So I wanted to ask an expert, as long as he is literally on the phone with me.
Yeah, it's definitely a good card. I think what I came to the conclusion with is that I like the things that are more like 3-for-1s than just the 2-for-1 off Astrolabe. Play it, you draw your card, you get to kill something 2-for-1. But like, there are so many things like Ichor Wellspring, Experimental Synthesizer,
Yeah.
Psychosynth Wellspring, Prize Statue. There's so many cards that are at like 3-for-1s or more that there wasn't really room after a while. Like it's certainly something that I wouldn't fault anybody for running Astrolabe in that deck. I think it's a solid card, but there are so many things that get even more value, and the list gets kind of tight. It's yeah. There's only so many spots for it, so
yeah. I run the other Astrolabe, like not there's a card called Arkham's Astrolabe, and there's another card from Alliances that's just called Astrolabe.
Yeah.
I run that one in my Noise Marine deck. It's really bad. and I regret nothing.
What's
But that is the only. What?
that's a actually not. I'm just trying to like piece together why that's in Noise Marine, and maybe I shouldn't try to do that. So
it's it's a mana boost.
yeah, that's fair.
It's a really bad volatile vessel. Is that the red enchantment?
Yep.
Yeah,
Vessel of
it's just a bad
Volatility.
vessel volatility. It's a bad vessel volatility that also draws a card. It's like if you cascade into it, it's free mana
That's
and
fair.
it puts a card in your hand. Yeah.
Fair enough.
If you don't cascade into it, you play it the turn before your Noise Marine turn, and then you just get a little mana boost.
All right, I'm in. I still need to see that deck in action. I've heard you talk about it so many times, and not that I've just heard you talk about how it just dies, but that's all I care. I just want to see it do its thing. So
Okay, new plan. Forget Vohar. I'm bringing Noise Marine to Sanctuary 4.
you could just bring it to Chicago if you want. You don't need to.
So, I would need Sniffhow to bring it to Chicago because the deck is currently in the PAL studio.
All right, Sniff, you heard him.
You heard
Bring
me.
Noise Marine. All right. Well, I don't know if people are sick of us talking about mid range and Noise Marines and Astrolabes, but I think we should take a quick break and then look at some games going on. It looks like the first game is about to wrap up, so we can jump in on the second batch of games and see what people are up to and see what we can make of them, and maybe continue some of this conversation along the way when we see Astrolabes or Arkham's Astrolabes getting cast. So
Yeah, that sounds great.
cool. Oh, Dax, you're too kind. So all right, we'll take a quick break and then we will be right back. Boop. All right. So we are all back. And it looks like we're jumping into a game where a lot has happened already. So we will try to make the most of it. And I won't bother with the poll this time around. But we have, we got an interesting one. There's a Dargo Kedis at a lot of life, and their opponents at not nearly as much life.
That's
That's my
would you
expert
surmise happened
analysis.
here?
It's a mystery. We'll never know for sure.
Yeah. So it looks like Dargo. We have a sandwich on Dargo Kedis, and it looks like they lost everything here recently. We have Jonathan on Wilson Feywild Visitor, and it looks like with an unblockable Wilson in play, and a potentially very large Gnarlback Rhino in play.
Yeah,
an 8/8, and it looks to be goaded and making treasures for a sandwich. We have Clay on Sir Conrad, who is just happy to be here, it looks like. And then we have Chum.
or not happy to be here.
Yeah. And then we have Chum on Jury, who has a reasonably sized jury and some stuff to sack. So
yeah, I believe just before we went live, Chum cast that Drown in Sorrow, and that may explain what happened to Clay's board.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I believe his Sir Conrad deck is the Rat Colony deck.
I've seen him play
May
both.
Rest in peace.
I don't know if he's playing the rats. I didn't catch what was in his graveyard. Yeah, I know he has a rat version and he has a non-rat version. So
okay.
But yeah, interesting spot. I mean, I think Jonathan did a pretty good spot looking at this board, but I mean, Sandwich just has so much life from the Dargo beatings that they were slinging around. So,
Speaking of Dargo, he's back.
Yeah, back better than ever, fueled by some treasures. So are all these enchantments on this Gnarlback Rhino? Is that what I'm making of Jonathan's board? So it's got a shiny impetus from a sandwich. It's got a forced adaptation, which just gives it a +1/+1 counter every turn, right? And then
yes.
Bestial Bloodline, which is a card I have not seen before. Gives it +2/+2, and you can return that enchantment from your graveyard to your hand.
Oh, that's one of the new ones from Ixalan, right?
It's from Wilds, I think, yeah. But it is new. Newer.
Oh, yeah, Wilds.
Yeah.
That's right. What up, you sexy person, Gator? I was just talking about you. I was trying to remember all the smart things you told me on Wednesday, in case anyone hadn't listened to the episode yet. Which is crazy that anyone might have done that, but...
Yeah, crazy, yeah.
Crazy.
It's on my to-do list for what it's worth, but okay, yeah.
Somebody's gonna die. As we've got an ancestral mask on this unblockable Wilson.
Yeah.
The
heat got turned up to a very high.
So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, it looks to be +8 +8.
4, 5.
I count 10.
2, 4, 6.
There are double shiny impetuses that aren't actually double shiny impetuses. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
4.
and ancestral mask doesn't count itself.
Oh, it doesn't count itself. That's right.
It counts. It's each other one. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it's 8. I also counted wrong.
See, this is what I mean when I say I don't know how to read or do math.
You're not allowed to say you don't know how to do math. But yeah, no, that does look like someone's going to die.
May they rest in peace.
Or not. I mean, it looks like. It
may in fact be 2 people. This Rhino is goaded, so can't go at a sandwich. So if the Rhino goes at Chum and Wilson goes at Clay, I think.
But then Jonathan just dies to Dargo beats.
Wilson has vigilance,
Wilson,
Oh
right?
yeah, I
Wilson does have
forgot.
vigilance.
Jeez,
Wilson has
Wilson just has it
a lot of
all.
keywords. Yeah.
What what a
How
Um,
did
mistake of a card.
yeah, I think Wilson's gonna get. I think Dargo's gonna get blocked. Yeah, if Clay and Chum both get Dargoed out right here.
Yeah. I don't know how many cards Chum has in hand, but that jury can grow by. Well, I guess it can only sack the Wizard's Rockets, but I was just trying to think of what damage jury could do. I mean, there's a real like Jonathan should be really worried about this jury because if he gets untap, I guess there's no. I don't actually see any creatures in yard, so maybe this blood fountain isn't actually all that cool after all.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I were Jonathan right now, I would be killing both Clay and Chum because I would feel pretty secure that the mono red player is probably not going to threaten my 12/12 bear.
Yeah,
My
I
And
agree
it's
the
with
mono
that.
red player with only 4 lands is not going to threaten my 12/12 bear with Ward 2.
yeah, and it's unblockable.
Like
So like,
I think
yeah,
Clay could kill the bear. Well, it's only unblockable if it attacks alone, and the Gyno
yeah,
the
that's
Rhino is
fair.
goaded. So like
But like
the bear is
future turns,
blockable,
yeah.
but it has trample. Like
Yeah.
mm,
All right, so jury's getting sacked to a collateral damage, which
is that enough to just
maybe
kill Jonathan?
killing Jonathan if it all resolves, but
But if
Jonathan's
Jonathan
gonna crack
dies,
his food.
oh wow!
Got that food
oh,
token from the gingerbread cabin. So
Oh, incredible!
uh, yeah.
see,
So
yep, that takes out Chum.
and then where did the
I think the Rhino went at Sandwich. I saw him like moving up a
motion
creature as if he was
Dargo.
blocking. Is that Dargo? I don't even
Oh,
recognize
is
that
there about
art.
to be a bolt to finish off John? Oh, another
Oh, there's like
collateral
another
damage.
collateral damage. Oh wow.
Wow. Okay. Amazing.
Oh, it looks like Chum like it looks like this was in response, and now they're like awkward because like Chum started scooping. That's fun. All right. So
Yeah.
Chum is unscooping now.
Chum is unscooped.
Okay.
All right.
Jonathan has scooped.
So Jonathan's
Jonathan has been
dead.
killed.
All right.
So we all start at nothing, and a sandwich has a billion more life than everyone else. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't hate Clay's spot if Clay's alive.
Yeah. Clay appears to be alive. We'll see if the I don't see a die on Sir Conrad, so maybe oh, we're gonna get it back as Stinkweed Imp. So this is not the rat version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Gary in the yard.
This was a good turn to drop into.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, it was almost over, and I might have been very, very wrong.
I mean, why are you lying to your fans?
Oh, that's just you know me.
Is it because it's really fun? Because I mean, that's why I'm a teacher.
I just I mean I took notes from you. You're my role
Hmm.
model, so
That checks out.
so Clay's casting the Stinkweed up. He dredged back. Has a lot of cool stuff in his yard. Looks like there was the Encore card that I don't remember its name. Stinkweed. Alk is preaching something. Precisely.
Which Encore card is the one that makes tokens or the one that kills things?
That is a brilliant question, and it would help if I knew the card's name. So give me 1 second while I.
One is like a Briar or something. The other one's a Hunter. I don't remember.
Encore. I believe it was the Hunt Master, so it makes 1/1s when it dies.
Okay.
I could be wrong. That was just what I thought I saw at a glance. So
That's 33% less good now than it was 3 minutes ago.
that is a fact.
Very true.
I can't see. Did anyone see what this jury probably costs a chunk? Knowing how jury works, I don't know what that die is on jury, but
I can't see.
how do you guys feel about just jury in general? Have either of you played or played against it enough to have formulated an opinion?
I have a jury deck. I don't think mine's competitive. Mine's just goofy fun times with a lot of threat and effects.
Yeah.
I think I love the way he grows. I love the way that he just threatens the table.
Yeah.
Like because of stuff like collateral damage and fling, he's never not this terrifying threat that makes you reconsider everything you're about to do.
Yeah, it's just a chunk of uncounterable damage at
Yeah.
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I've always felt like it runs out of steam really quick. Is my if I had to criticize jury, that's my one criticism. But
That seems like a fair one.
um,
I tried to create like a card draw engine in mind just by using act of treason,
yeah,
village rights.
Yeah.
But like then you're spending 2 cards to get 2 cards, and like it's really hard to get them in the right like ratios.
Sure.
Like sometimes it has to be a really bad act of treason effect followed by like a spark reaper effect, and then you're spending entirely too much mana on doing anything, which is why my deck is super casual. I have no illusions about it doing things well or wisely.
Oh yeah, Kunks nailed my thought on the head. Kunk said, "I love jury and I love bullying it into hating to launch early." So often jury just gets bullied into having to throw jury at something or someone before it wants to, and then its whole plan is just in shambles.
Yeah.
Because it has to waste so many resources getting jury back into play, and it usually tried to blow a bunch of resources to get jury big before it gets done with whatever the other person wants to happen with it. So
Jury's another deck I should consider adding Astrolabe to. Just as a
yeah, there's plenty of
Yeah.
sack artifact
Lots of ways
stuff.
to sacrifice it for sure.
yeah.
All right.
We got
I'm
bloody
not
betrayal.
sure what is getting bloody betrayed, but
something.
my guess would be
And it's probably jury, but
jury. Yeah.
and trying to get Clay to trade. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think there's a jury, and it hasn't, the jury lists I've seen haven't run them, but I think there's builds of jury where it runs more of the carrion feeder, defiant salvagers, the creatures that grow. So then jury isn't your only sizable threat.
Right.
Sure.
There's the new one that explores. We got that downshift in Commander Masters. That guy's what is it? Some Legion Vanguard?
Yeah.
Yeah. My deck is on the Legion Vanguard and it loves the Legion Vanguard. And,
yeah. I think having a diversified portfolio of threats as opposed to I'm all in on this jury plan is what the deck needs, because it's really easy to bully jury into having to get rid of jury early.
There's a handful of them now. Like we got Body Dropper, we got the new Gixian something.
Yeah, Gixian, I think Infiltrator, I think.
Yeah, the Infiltrator, and then there's Red has Hobble Fiend.
Mortician Beetle.
Mortician Beetle, yeah, that's the other one.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is I don't know that I would necessarily call jury a Voltron deck, but it is sort of one of the Voltron tensions. Do you go all in on your one big thing, or do you try and spread the love so you're not, if something happens to your main threat, are you just dead? What happens? So
Dax saying Alberto is that way too. Yeah, I like Jury, and I've seen it do crazy things, but I feel like it's always like really good at like, because like Jury will just get so big that it kills one person, but it used everything to get to that point. So then when it has to
Right.
reset, it's just real sad, and like it doesn't have anything left over to show for it, like because it was like sacrificing a bunch of like baubles and stuff and spell bombs
Who
along the way.
who took 3 damage?
It looks like a stinkweed imp and a Jury died.
Right. But Jury died. So who took 3 damage?
I think Chum was well. It should only be 2, right?
Yeah, looks
No, it
like
was
And it looks like Chum took because
oh
Chum was at 7, I think.
no, Chum was at oh Clay took the 2.
looks like
He's down to
Clay.
8 now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
shows
see
what
it
I
now.
know.
Okay.
I'm paying attention.
Every
Ooh.
time I see the words El Barto, I think someone's making a Simpsons joke, and I'm like, oh, what's the Bart Simpson magic card? Is it a secret layer I missed? Then I remember that there's just actually a magic card named El Barto, and I'm like, oh, wait, what? I
Well,
get really confused.
I mean, sort of. It's Bartolome. There's no L. It is. It's like, it's just so synonymous with the card now. Everyone overdid the Simpsons joke that everyone is now forgetting. It is a Simpsons joke.
Oh, his name's not Barto?
It's
What?
Bartolome del Presidio, I believe.
Oh, I see.
So yeah.
Bart the president? That's good.
Rowan's Grimswitch from Clay at the end of last turn into. I mean, has to be doing something soon, right?
Maybe.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
The difference between 6 life and 8 life seems really significant when there's a doggo right there. Like you really gotta wonder what he's scheming with this Grim Search.
Yeah, and well, Dargo is. So it looks like there's
Okay.
2
We got
instances of commander attacks.
Got a bubbling muck?
yeah, we got a big turn coming up
Oh.
because
Here we
Clay
go.
is bubbling.
Let's see it.
Here comes the Sir Conrad.
Weird sidebar. I really like Sandwich's tattoos.
I have not paid attention
Yeah,
to them
I
enough.
keep getting
but
glimpses of them, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen them in full.
Gotta get it. Hold on.
It's an unearth for the stinkweed, maybe?
Looks like.
Yeah, so Unearthing Stinkweed is gonna get a Sir Conrad trigger, I believe.
Yes.
And then I imagine while we're
And do we just
bubbling,
do we just village rights the stinkweed and get a bunch more triggers?
That would be an excellent play.
that would be sick.
All right, 2 mana.
Ooh, a Carrion
Carrion
Feeder.
Feeder.
So 1 black left over.
Yep.
Felden's Cane.
Elton's Cane. Oh, that is the
Bro.
combo. That is a combo.
Oh, that's not small. And he's got the mana up for the village right, so he can stack a few more creatures in the grave before he hits that cane. Cane's free to
Absolutely.
activate, right?
It is.
It
yeah.
is. It's just tap. Yeah.
Yikes.
All right. We're doing a creature count. We got 1, 2,
2.
3. It looks like only 3 creatures.
Oh no.
That's
Yeah.
3.
Yep. 3.
He needs
That is
to do
not
21
close enough.
damage.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, he could take out Chum, which is not. I mean, I think that's still pretty good.
Yeah. It's just gonna pass the turn.
I don't. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, a sandwich can't cast Dargo yet, and I believe they're down to a single card in hand, so they're
That's
not
what it looks like, yeah.
the most scary, but
I'm imagining we're about to see a cracked blood fountain into a recast Yuri.
yeah.
Yep, nailed it.
If it seems like I'm speculating about things that have already happened, it's because I'm watching the Twitch stream, which is I think like a couple seconds behind what Bobby's seeing right now.
No, you nailed it. Got
Oh,
back
I'm so good at this.
a jury and a moderator.
Oh yeah, Moderator's fun.
He's got the misprinted anthologies one as well.
Oh, perfect.
That
Today I
the mis
learned.
it costs it says that it costs 2 red instead of just 1 red,
Oh.
which is
Oh,
fun because then you have to explain that to literally everyone every time you play it.
amazing.
I did not know that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just. It seems grim for everyone not named Clay at the moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is you're quite a turnaround. Like 2 minutes ago, it seemed really grim for Clay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we got.
Yuri, there he is, the master of the review. Man, I like Chum's tattoos as well. That back of the hand tattoo looks like painful, but it looks pretty good.
Mountain.
I was hoping to see the Great Furnace.
I love all the mismatching.
Okay. Well, I'm not
I
gonna
think that turns on
do
Dargo.
the math, but I'm pretty sure that gets there. Yeah. That's some more permanence for sure.
So
1, 2,
Dargo
3,
costs
4.
11.
2, 3,
And yeah, that's
4,
exactly.
5,
Well, it's not
Yeah,
exactly enough.
he's got exactly 11.
You have some
5,
left.
No, it is.
8, 9, 10,
Oh yeah, it
11.
is. Yeah,
Yep.
you're right. It is exact. And then you're left with a servo, and you get to draw a card
Yep.
in exchange for 175. Or no, it's a construct, not a servo. Although the
Clay's
construct
explaining something enthusiastically.
yeah, sacking the construct will trigger Conrad, I believe. Or no, yeah, when another creature dies.
Creature dies. Yep.
So, oh, Hellbent. What else is there to do? Nothing. Just cast Dargo.
Yep.
Let's see it. Put the giant onto the table. Oh, that's a good shot of this
There, yeah, I got.
Chum's tattoos.
I wonder if Chum was listening. um, all right, so lots of talking, but it looks like Dargo's coming into play, and then
Well, I think what's happened. What I can see so far is that Dargo's been put onto the stack,
yeah,
but that dude costs 11 mana, so there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen before he gets into play.
Yes. Costs have not been paid yet.
I think I'm guessing what he's trying to do is see if he can like draw the card from the Terrarian, and then do the blood thing, which I think he could. Well, no, he couldn't have done that because the blood costs a mana to activate. So, My guess is maybe that was like being talked about, but and then the construct is back. Oh.
Some of the sacrifice fodder wound up in the token stack, but
Yeah, cards got kind of put where they pleased, but all right. And this is the new fancy Dargo from was it
the special guest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This Dargo notably looks way more intimidating than the other Dargo art.
Not if you're a lobster.
That's okay. You make a fair counterpoint. But I don't know. This other one just looks completely terrifying. I feel like with the lobster art, you don't get a real feel for like how giant Dargo is in the art, because like there's no like person frame of reference like there is in the other one, where he's just like swinging around this. I don't know if it's a statue or a person or what, but like a person-sized object just like being used as a club.
Yeah.
Yes, there should be another construct from Nimble Right, which I have let them know.
Sorry, I missed some of that conversation. Are you suggesting that the new artwork is more intimidating because he's using a figurehead as a club? Because
yes,
if that's the case, I have really awkward news about the old
okay,
art.
you're right. I'm now looking at the original art too. I don't know. It just seems maybe it's just the perspective. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's fair. Looking up at a giant is a lot worse than looking down at one.
Yeah. But you're right. No, it's like the exact same thing. So yeah, I'm just this is just a me problem, is what it is. So
Yeah, the in the original art, the foregrounding of the lobster is a really interesting aesthetic choice.
yeah, I mean, I love
It
it
does
because it's hilarious. But
it does make it look like he's just holding a regular sized lobster, which makes him a regular sized person. And then you have to wonder if the figurehead he's holding is just like a kid's toy. Like
yeah,
yeah. Weird things going on with that lobster.
5 mana here from Clay. Or sorry, Mood Mark Painter. So
Mark Painter. Yep.
and then an Undying Malice. Oh, so this is about to be a big Conrad.
Oh yeah, this is.
And Moodmark also gets what, menace or trample?
I believe it's Menace.
Menace. Yeah.
Mood Mark.
Bad news for anyone whose only creature is a Dargo, but it's less bad news if someone's two creatures, a Dargo and a construct. So
Yeah,
someone should.
I've tried
talk to them.
messaging. Here, I will return momentarily.
Yep. I'll lose one.
Yo,
Yeah,
Rohan
And
should have a
lose one again.
construct.
Conrad triggers. Yep.
Yo, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Rohan should have a construct from like last turn. Just throwing it out there.
Oh yeah.
Didn't he? Oh, from the nimble, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's spoopy. Yeah.
You're right.
Carry on. All right.
That was fast.
All
All right, next time.
Next time.
right. And Clay was very not excited as a result of that, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I think that messed up Clay's math, so that's kind of awkward for everyone involved. But that is, yeah. So Mood mark happened, and it double happened. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Which has Chum at one. I mean, yeah, he's now
Next time on DBC.
he's kicking himself. I think for the.
Yeah, that was a lot of investment based on bad information. Gator in the chat is telling us that he is allowed to walk it back, and
Yeah, I mean,
but I mean, honestly, like it's the right play is probably still just
I
yeeting
think
it all
he's
at
still.
Sandwich. And like
Yeah,
you force the block.
Mhm.
well,
Like maybe
there's still a world where you can win with the Feldon's cane, right? Like Chum is dead
Yeah.
if you look at him funny. So like that part doesn't matter. And
Yeah, I mean, like Clay right now, Clay has the mana to recast Conrad.
yeah, this is
Sandwich does not have the mana to recast Dargo.
yeah,
Like yeah, you
and
just you make Conrad huge, you turn him sideways, you force the double block, and then
yeah, because what's
you
11?
say let's do attrition, idiot.
Yeah, it's 11 damage. So if this goes through, Rohan's just dead to the Feldon's cane plus
Yeah,
carrion feeder shenanigans. So
yeah.
in a tournament setting, Vax, I think that would be correct. I would have just gone and gotten a judge in such a situation, but uh, you know, this is just an open play fun game. So
Let me call Liam and tell
yeah,
Liam to call
Liam, jump in here.
Sandwich.
Yeah. All right. So Chum is dead to a sack trigger or to Sir Conrad dying. Sir Conrad has now died.
Is Clay hellbent now?
Clay is hellbent. Moonmark Painter is a 2/3. So Clay has 5 damage on board and enough to recast Conrad next turn. So
Yeah, Clay is still. I mean, obviously the construct through it was a wrench in the plan, but it's still like Clay is still in a very powerful position here.
yeah. So
What is that thing?
that is an impact tremors with the new
fancy art.
special art treatment
Oh,
from
fancy.
whatever set that was from. Wilds of Eldraine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So Sir Conrad's back.
Back again.
So I imagine you just attack with 5. I mean, I don't think there's a combination of cards that Clay loses to. So
I really want to
Yeah.
see the Feldon's cane go off.
yeah. So you attack for 5. Pass. That's a 6 Sunshot Militia down there in Chum's screen.
There's a what?
There's an Ace of Clubs that says Sunshot Militia on it. So I was just talking about how it's a 6 Sunshot Militia.
Oh, on Chum's screen. Yeah. That's awesome.
All right, we got a Kedis.
I don't think that's it.
I mean, it's a Kedis. That's about all
Yep.
it is.
I mean, is there a 2-mana spell that sacrifices a creature and deals 5 damage to a player? I don't think there is.
There's some that
Lightning
deal
Axe.
4,
Me-
but yeah.
Lightning
Yeah.
Axe and Fiery Conclusion both hit creatures only.
If only Kedis were a goblin.
Yeah, Goblin Grenade it. Is there a Lizard Grenade?
Mm,
Lizard grenade.
Lizard Grenade. That's what we need.
Tithing Blade. Ugh. That, I mean, it was
Oh,
already done,
that's-
but that definitely.
Yeah.
seals it
Yeah.
without question.
Yeah, that card is so brutal.
Now just dead to combat damage alone. So
Yeah. Now we don't get to see the Felden's Cane.
Clay needs to activate for style
Boo.
points. For style points,
I
Clay.
want my money back.
A newt. All right. And yeah, so it looks like Clay a root wall grenade.
Grenade.
That would be disgusting. So yeah, Clay was able to get it there in the end after
nice
Yeah,
work, Clay.
and
everyone just kind of
no
restarted.
non-land permanence when we tuned in. Yeah.
Yeah. No non-land permanents.
So no non-land permanence is mono black, is mid-range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The odds were not in his favor as
Yeah.
we stepped into this game.
Yeah.
This is a remarkable comeback.
Yeah, Clay heard us talking smack and was like, I got some words for you.
Absolutely. Proved us all wrong.
And Jury, another mid-range deck we didn't really mention. I think it kind of falls into that category too, though, of a black mid-rangey deck.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, both have a pretty decent showing against a very spooky, scary, fast aggro deck, and then Wilson, which also seems to be kind of that mid-range, middle ground. Like, it's Voltron, but I don't know. I haven't seen Jonathan's build. It looked fairly aggressive though. That was a big gnarlback rhino, and a
was a
very
rhino.
big bear,
Big bear.
as well. So
Yeah.
all right, let us see what is going on game wise. So it looks like oh, that is my bad. Share my screen. All right, so it looks like they're shuffling up. They're just gonna play another game, maybe with some swaps. So while they get all settled, I wanted to talk a real quick second about some fun Sanctuary stuff that's coming up that I'm sure you guys have heard about. But if you haven't,
Tell me.
you get to now. So first, we're going to talk about the league that's starting next Saturday. Or Saturday, Sunday? I know dates. The 14th. So we're doing things a little bit differently this time around. Previously, we did the leagues where everyone showed up on the same day at the same time, played a couple of games, and then we repeated, a couple weeks in a row. Now we're doing it. That kind of made it so certain people who were regularly unavailable at that time couldn't make it. So this time we're doing it where you get paired for the week, and then you and your pod mates figure out when you can all play, and you play your game, you report it, and hopefully this allows more people to play. It does mean we don't get as many games in as short a time, so it's a little longer. So it's going to be 6 weeks of just that kind of open play. Well, not open play, paired pods. And then after the 6 weeks, we're going to do a cut to either the top 4 or top 16 if we get a bunch of people playing. And they play for to be named the champion. The champion gets to play in the next Sanctuary Open for free. And then everyone who makes the top 4, or if we get to top 16, we'll change some of this. But everyone's gonna get sets of those sweet tokens, like we talked about earlier. And then there's some other prizes that are to be announced. Part of it's gonna depend on how many people join. Part of it is I'm still just working on it with some folks to nail them down. But I assure you there will be cool stuff. And the best part is it's free. So, you're already going to play PDH anyway. Why not just, do it for a chance to win some stuff at the same time?
So, Bobby, you mentioned the next Sanctuary tournament. When's that going to be?
Wow, it's like you read my mind. So the other cool announcement that I posted about a week ago or maybe 2 weeks ago, I don't know. My brain is mush. The next tournament's going to be happening in March. So it's still a little bit of ways. But March 16th, 1 p.m. Eastern time, I made this cool little playtest sticker flyer. But we're going to run back the tournaments. We're going to do them every 3 months going forward. not necessarily like the exact date of that every month, but that way we're on a more consistent schedule, so there's not as much guessing. And yeah, it's going to be, $16. The links are all in the server or on the website. The cool news this time around is that Moxfield and like other virtual playtest platforms will be allowed. We do have some, there'll be guidelines on what's required for using those released here soon, just to make sure, we're avoiding any opportunities for people being concerned about what opponents are doing or whatever. But hopefully this allows more people to join, Gator saying the last champion gets 3 buys. You wish. But yeah, so hopefully get more people in. I don't want cost to be like a factor. Last second card, acquisition shouldn't be a factor. So we'll see how that plays out. And then the prizes, straight cash, homie. So the prize pool is just based on however many people show up. All of the entry fee except for like the $1 that gets processed by the website when they take your money, it all goes into the prize pool. And the winner will get to work with me to make their very own custom token. So they too will be immortalized in card form, both foil and non. So something to look forward to, kind of, harkening back to, the old invitational cards, or the, I know Star City had their own token series they were doing. So I think it'll be really cool, and, gives more people a chance to make a token with their likeness or otherwise on it. So yeah, super excited. I know, Alk, you were saying you were gonna play in this next one, so
yeah,
gonna hold you to that. Hank, I assume you're also gonna throw your hat in the ring in this.
Oh, absolutely. It's already in my calendar.
Perfect. But yeah, so those are the cool announcements for upcoming things. If anyone has any ideas for more stuff to do, I'm always all ears. So shoot me ideas, shoot me criticisms, tell me what's going poorly, tell me what's going awesome. Hopefully more of the awesome stuff than the bad stuff. But
Gator? Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, Gator.
Unless if we can find a weird loophole in the rules where the last champion gets 3 buys to give away to someone else, then I'll think about it. But unless you can find that rule for me specifically, the answer is no.
Yeah. No, thank you. Look, Gator, all you do is win anyway, so you don't even need the 3 buys. But yeah, no, I'm excited about it. I'm excited for, I know there's a couple other tournaments that are going to be happening this year too. I know One More Game Chris is hosting another tournament in February. Dallas Walker is planning on hosting more Philadelphia tournaments. RIW is supposed to happen again in June. This should be an awesome year for PDH and PDH tournaments in particular. So very excited.
Absolutely.
Let me move off of this fun screen and go back to this spell table game. So they're still shuffling up and resolving mulligans, looks like, and we got the same people, but we have one new deck is what it boiled down to. So Chum is no longer playing Jury and is instead on my favorite halfling, Gretchen Titchwillow. Nothing more to say about that. Just like the best halfling that's ever been printed, and I will not be listening to arguments otherwise in the meantime. So.
Here's my argument.
Second favorite halfling.
What? Is there a better halfling?
I'm a fan of Aranis.
Oh, Aranis is a halfling. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Kind of busted in Pauper EDH.
Kind of busted.
Yeah, they are quite a fine halfling.
I will support whichever side of this debate can show me a really cool altar of their commander.
Oh, I got you
Wow.
beat on this one, David.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm gonna share this with the world. Let me.
Oh, it worked. My plan. It's all coming together.
I gotta do a little OBS action, but
It
yeah,
is a fantastic altar.
yeah.
That's
One,
what- I really just wanted an excuse to make Bobby put it on the screen for me.
Well, you read me like a book, so now I just gotta find it. Yeah, so this was after Rags to Riches last year. I was like, I haven't gotten a card altered in a hot minute, and so I thought, what better way to do it than that? And let me see, where's my?
Oh, Allura is very cool. I have an Allura deck with Dragon Disciple that I dearly love.
Did you go down the halfling search like I did?
No, Wales is telling me.
Okay. Wales is
I'm
doing
not
it for
doing
you.
things on my own. Yeah, I have minions for that.
All right. I've officially posted it in too many places that I can't find it in any of the places. To the pod server. Anyway, so I don't know if anyone watching is a Mean Girls fan. I know I am, and I believe both of you at least don't hate Mean Girls, correct? Maybe, possibly.
I definitely don't hate Mean Girls.
I kind of like Mean Girls.
I love Mean Girls, and I will not apologize for it. That movie is hilarious. So, after that event, I reached out to Bay Paint Studios, who is a fantastic alterer and artist. And I was like, hey, let's make Gretchen into Gretchen. And so I commissioned Gretchen Titchwillow to be done in the style of Gretchen Wieners from Mean Girls. And as soon as there we go. This is my very poorly done quick demonstration. But yeah, I got the D&D book art Gretchen done to show Gretchen Wieners. And then
That's beautiful.
got the flavor
So
text
fetch.
added to say that's so fetch. So
Every time I see this, like I knew what it looked like. I knew exactly what I was expecting when I asked you to put this on the screen. I still can't.
it's just so it just came out
It's so
so
good.
perfect. Like
Yeah.
Deal.
I'm so impressed by just like the matching the texture of like the D&D book page, like, and the coloring. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I am so not talented artistically, so seeing someone do this is just crazy to me. But there you go. That's my art show off moment for the evening. Me do some switching back there.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So now we're back. So there's a Wilson in play. There's a Gretchen in play.
Speaking of Gretchen just got
Crit-
cast from Chum.
It's crazy that no one counted that Wilson. You'd think that with a bear that powerful, someone would, hit it with an arcane denial or something.
Oh man. So you know how we talked about how Wilson had all these lines of text before?
No, I don't remember that. I can't read. So
Well, you should probably never play Wilson then, because that also can't be countered, mind you.
I have a Wilson deck. Me not playing Wilson is that ship has sailed.
You are a monster then. There's no in between. You either shouldn't play Wilson or you're a monster. So
My Wilson deck is actually a very old, like when Eldraine came out, the first Eldraine, I built a deck for Surferin, which is Surferin is a double green human knight with the ability when he attacks, you can give another attacking creature +X/+X, where
Yeah.
X is Surferin's power. So I built a deck that's 33 forests, 33 one-drop attackers, and 33 pump spells. It's just the maths perfectly. And then when they printed, I like the whole time I had this deck built, I would always joke that Surferin was the bear. In the artwork of the card, there's a bear and a knight, and I was like, Surferin's the bear. And then they printed Wilson and Hardy Outlander, which is the same card, but with like vigilance and trample and can't be countered and ward. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I guess I'll just swap the commanders and I have a Wilson deck now.
Yeah.
My deck doesn't use Feywild Visitor, so it's less good.
Oh, I think it's still playing good. Oh, I hit the wrong. This is not the finals of anything. Yoink.
In the booth, Dave and Derek.
That was only slightly wrong for a moment. All right, that's fixed now.
Nice.
And no, I started the prediction for all of your gambling needs. So for anyone who wants to throw channel points away,
gamble. I want to gamble on that bear.
yeah, Wilson just made a fairy dragon, so
Yep.
I do like how fairy dragons interact with this Krarkland shaman that's just chilling. But I'm gonna throw my channel points on Gretchen. Call me biased, but you know.
I think you're biased.
Yeah, you're right. You caught me.
Got him. What's David betting on?
So Clay has one of my favorite cards in play at the moment in Tortured Existence.
Tordex?
So
Yeah.
I am gonna predict that Clay's gonna run this one back. Boom.
Man, we have a commentary team, a booth divided.
I really need to tune into more Sanctuary on Twitch. You guys both just slammed down 1.1k, and I have 430 channel points. You know what? I'm going all in though. There we go.
What good are they if you're not gambling them, right? And
exactly.
Don't make this about the point where there's no good way to spend them.
So,
but you know,
I am gonna need someone to put money on Dargo Kedis just in case. Like if Dargo Kedis wins, all of these channel points just disappear.
Yeah.
So someone needs to put a bet on Dargo Kedis.
Come on,
just
Wales.
to protect this investment.
Come on, Wales.
I see Wales. I see Gator in the chat. Dax is in the chat. Someone's got a.
Wales is usually the person cleaning up. Yes, yeah. Someone threw 10 on Dargo Case. There we go.
Oh, perfect.
There you go.
Very much obliged.
All right. So Gator threw down a vampire, a sandwich untapped, and I mean, there has to be a Dargo in our. Oh, Wales said, I went all in on Gretchen before I heard your vote. Wales gets it.
Ah. Good.
I'm doing some Dargo math. Everyone's favorite kind of math. It looks like.
That is undoubtedly the best math.
I used to back when ATOG was legal in 60 card popper, that was my favorite math, was figuring out like between the Teamer Battle Rage and the Fling how much of my board I needed to sack to kill you. Sort of similar to Dargo math.
I do love that math.
I hated that math because I was regularly having to do it on the opposite side of the person who was also doing that math. I was doing it to figure out how much what I need to do to try to stay alive and not die to them doing that with that combination of cards. So yeah, it very rarely worked out positively for me.
The math that I've been enjoying lately is Zada Walls math.
Zada Walls, okay.
Years ago, I had a Zada deck that was, it's very, very typical Zada deck. Dragon's Approach, Hordling Outburst, Zada, and then whatever, run amok, Teamer Battle Rage, attack for 700, and like that's the old Zada math. I got really tired of that deck because it's so like competitive and linear, and it's an on-off switch. Either Zada resolves and you win, or she dies and you don't, and like it's just the same game every time. So I ended up taking that deck apart, and for about a year I just didn't have a Zada deck, and it was fine. And then like in the last year they've printed so many cards that are just so fun and cool and interesting with Zada. Things like, Ancestor's Aid and Flick a Coin, and like the
Yep.
Daring Discovery that cascades, and like so much of it is just so cool that I was like, okay, I want a Zada deck so that I can run these cool cards, cool interesting cards. But A, I want the creatures to not like be a threat to the table so that everyone panics and immediately murders me. And B, I need these things to survive getting riled and flick a coined and like blind blasted a couple times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just built Zada with all walls, and now I have to do a lot of math with like, okay, if I reckless Fireweaver and then Bloody Betrayal, like how much damage is that? Like, how much damage is that after you include the fact that I get to untap the Thermo Alchemist twice off the Bloody Betrayal, and then maybe do a Vent Sentinel activation as well. Like, it's just the math is so stupid. I can't get over how much fun it is.
I mean,
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I'm definitely intrigued.
Good.
I'll have to take a look at your list.
It's really, really fun.
I
Alright.
like looking at your lists when they aren't. I've done my complaint, but like when it's not right after a set. I don't need to see your list then. But,
That's totally fair. I'm done updating them for a while. You can safely follow me again, and
that's what
it'll be a while before I.
That's
It
what
is.
you want
It's
me to think.
I do want I want you to think that, and I want you to follow me. It's your validation is extremely important to me.
Consider it done. So
Nice.
yeah. So while we were talking, Ace Sandwich did the things. So it looks like 2 artifacts were sacked to Krog Clan to wipe some things, and then a Dargo followed
Yep.
suit.
And now
Yep.
Gretchen's tapping something for a thing. Oh, is that just a Gretchen activation? Tap the elf and
Yeah.
the 3
Yeah.
mana to draw a card. Okay,
Yeah,
I see.
Hit a Simic Growth Chamber.
Oh,
that's a good land to put into play.
yeah. So I don't know if you guys know this. Gretchen's a pretty good card.
What?
Yeah, it's true.
The second best halfling in the format.
All right, pal.
Yeah, arguably.
I don't recall Aranis winning anything yet. So
Well, maybe someday.
Aranis. I know a guy who top forward RIW with Aranis.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you guys should have played
That-
it out. You could have nullified that argument right then and there.
Did I lose to? No, I lost to Paul, and I played against the Sprite Dragon player that also top forward, who
That
killed
was-
me in that match.
Yeah, that was the same game. That was the one that I was commentating, and the whole time I was like, why are they making those decisions?
Yeah.
I was waiting for the Rocco player in that game. Like the whole game, I was like, okay, this is the turn where he Roccos for Limp Sliver and just turns off
Mhm.
Aranis for the whole game, and he never did. I was like, did he forget what Limp Sliver does? Did he forget it's in his deck? Like what is happening?
That sliver deck
There's
is
a very-
sweet.
That would have ruined me for sure. Yeah, no, I spent a lot of that game frantically trying to get everybody to kill Paul because Paul was going to kill us.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
I died, and then everyone else did.
Yeah, I watched that happen.
Yep.
All right, so Wilson played a Goggles and a Rancor on a Fairy Dragon, which, hey, Rancor comes back, so who cares what you throw it on? And then
Absolutely.
And then Chum played a Voyaging Satyr with mana up to activate Gretchen, everyone's favorite thing to do when you're playing Gretchen.
Goggles feels like a heck of an investment for a competitive deck. I'm surprised to see that here. I wonder how it's working out for him. I wonder if it's like a committed, this card is really good and Alk just doesn't know what he's talking about maneuver, or if this is like an experiment and he's testing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen Jonathan play this deck yet. I mean, Goggles seems really nuts with all the dragons. Like, odds are good you're going to be able to get through with dragons. There's not a lot of flyers happening right now.
Mhm.
Sure.
But I mean, yeah, it's kind of a steep
Sure,
investment,
but like,
but
yeah, the mana you're paying into it, and like the fragility of the dragons, kind of just makes me think that like if you want card draw, I feel like you're better off with like, Behold the Multiverse.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do like that it turns whatever you have into an Ophidian, but I also have a very soft spot for those types of effects. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clay with a
So
Slum.
Clay, Slum Reaper, yeah. I did kind of want to circle back to black mid-range decks a little bit. How do you guys feel about flesh bag effects in the format at the moment? Do you have any thoughts on them at all? Because I was considering that maybe they're just like you're playing a black mid-range deck, you're gonna play them, but maybe that's part of the trouble that black mid-range is having. Like maybe these cards are not as good uh as everybody thinks they are.
I like them if you are like if you're leaning into that effect, by which I mean if you have a lot of fodder to sacrifice to them
Mm-hmm.
so that they're not just a 4 mana innocent blood, or if you have ways to like recur them, or if you are like I run every single one of them in my Gorks deck, and in that
Mm-hmm.
deck, like that deck is tuned to really take advantage of that effect, and it abuses them hard, and they are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a lot of black decks that don't want that, and so they don't run them. Uh, yeah, I think they're probably not the staple that some people think they are. I think that they are conditionally very powerful, but you have to make sure your deck is prepared to utilize them if you want to utilize them.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle on them. Like I mean, yeah, they vary based on deck, right? And real quick, Chum bounced a Flame Breather in response to the Slum Reaper to make sure Dargo died. So,
Yep.
that was a cool happening. But the thing I think is like they never kill what you want them to kill, right? Like when it's very easy for like multiple creatures to just like end up on the board now, and we talked about how like it's hard to kill everything. Those also are not killing everything. They're killing giving your opponent a choice is rarely a good thing, and so giving them a choice in terms of what creature dies is not the best. But it's the awkward part is that it also goes both ways, right? It is a multiple for one. So it's like having to kind of balance that trade-off. Your deck isn't gonna be great if it's all just edict effects, because here we see Gretchen gets to keep the untapper. That's what Gretchen cares about. Gretchen can be recast 100 times. Gretchen doesn't need to be there all the time, so that's fine. Like snap bouncing the flame breather to kill the Dargo was great there because it made it so you got to kill what you wanted. But
Yeah, that was a really good play.
there's just so many times where a flesh bag or an edict just doesn't kill what you want, and it makes me. They're just so hit or miss, and it's infuriating as a person playing that sometimes.
Right. Yeah. I was just looking at, just the Slum Reaper that just got cast. And if it weren't for the snap, it would have killed a Flame Breather, which is a little bit expendable, a Fairy Dragon that was wearing a Rancor that comes back, and a Gretchen, which again, Gretchen doesn't mind losing Gretchen. So, that was 4 mana. That was Clay's whole turn. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
That was
it's just it's a thing I've been thinking as I've been thinking about like the role of mid range and control in the format, and like maybe the flesh bags they aren't all they're cracked up to be.
I think that you're onto something.
Yeah.
Gator agrees. Gator and I talked a lot on Wednesday about staples and like what a staple means and how you should engage with the idea of a staple, and we kind of concluded that you maybe shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's, yeah,
Yeah.
and I haven't listened to the episode yet, but Gary and I have talked about it previously, and I mean, there's just too much that varies deck by deck to like really like say, oh yeah, I don't think there's a single card that you can say in this color combination you should 100% be playing this card. I might be wrong. There might be like a handful, but if there are, it's exactly that. It's just a handful.
I think black should be on snuff out.
That's, I mean, maybe.
More
often than not, I'm probably playing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like a defensible take from my end, but like, yeah, I mean, like a year ago, on the pod, we did an episode specifically about staples, and like we kind of went into it thinking like we really want to communicate to people like what are the the really powerful cards that are sort of generically good in each color, and we did that, but we also like I took this like 20 minutes in the middle of the episode to just go on this rant where I was like, staples are not really a thing. Like, we're going to tell you that Cultivate is a good card. I have a bunch of green decks that aren't on Cultivate because it's not because there's better ramp. It's because there's ramp that is more tuned for what my deck wants to do. So like, I'm going to play the thing with the Abzen one that bolsters.
Yeah.
I'm going to play
Scout the
that, and
Borders,
it counters. I think Scout the Borders is a digging card.
Oh, okay.
Something.
I know.
Map the Wastes, maybe.
Yep. Nope. That's the one. As soon as you said it. Yep.
Map the Wastes. So like, yeah, I'm gonna play Map the Wastes instead of Cultivate in my decks that care about counters.
Yeah.
So like, we talked about staples, but we also we were very clear like, please don't listen to us. Like, everything we're saying is like advice, and you shouldn't. So like, having Gator come back and be like, hi, I'm here to represent CPDH. Staples are bad, and you shouldn't use them. Like, which is a horrifying oversimplification of what he said. But like, listen to the episode.
Yeah.
It felt very vindicating to hear him say that.
Yeah.
I have not been paying attention to what's happening.
You haven't missed a whole lot. So after the Slum Reaper, a Gretchen eventually got recast. A Sandwich played a Kedis, a Beamtown Beat Stick, and a recast the Flame Breather. And that's really all that's it. Happened.
Jonathan is stuck on 3 lands.
Yeah.
Desperately wishing that this Goggles of Night was a Behold the Multiverse.
Yeah.
Oh no. What did Clay do with 3 mana?
Clay played Grim Search.
Rowan's Grim Search.
Oh, Rowan's Grim Search. Oh, he's doing that again.
Yeah.
Speaking of Behold the Multiverse.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it wasn't that, was it? He didn't bargain anything. It was just a.
Yeah. It was just a blood pact or whatever.
Yeah.
And here comes
Looks like Conrad.
Conrad.
Yep.
Clay gets to have fun and just like activate Torch of Existence to activate Torch of Existence, and I'm so happy for him.
That's the combo. That's the combo, I say, staring down Gretchen in an untapper with 9 mana.
Gretchen is innocent and can do no wrong.
I'm starting to feel like I put my money on the wrong horse here.
I mean, what?
Jonathan, I believe in you. You can come back from this.
I mean, Jonathan has to have a sick hand full of stuff. Like,
sick hand full of stuff that costs 4 mana.
I bet there's some counter magic in there too.
I guess we'll see.
We have Kedis with a beat stick.
Kedis is gonna do some beat down. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, let's get some treasures.
That's awesome. And treasures are, I mean, everything's insane with Dargo, right? But treasures turn into Jeweled Lotus for Dargo. Pretty sick.
Yep.
I haven't been playing this game for a really long time, but I've heard that there's a really good card called Black Lotus.
Oh, you know what? I think I've heard of that one.
People tell me that it does things, and I'm inclined to believe them. I've never seen one, but it sounds correct.
So actually, fun fact: you're looking at it's right there in play right now.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, I see. Watch. It's about to be sacked for 3 mana towards a Dargo.
Yeah.
I suppose if your commander costs 9, then you need a couple lotuses.
Yeah. So that'd be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3,
I
4,
don't
5, 6, 7.
I don't think he has it unless he sacrifices the beat stick as well.
Yeah, I bet he sacrifices a flame breather. Is my guess, but. You've been caught stealing. All right. So if you thought 1 Black Lotus was cool, how about 3 more of them?
How much? So 3
That is-
Black Lotuses sounds like 9 mana. How much are you paying for this privilege?
For the low cost of 2 mana, you get 1 treasure for each opponent that was dealt damage this turn, which works really
for
well with
9.
a flame breather.
I mean, it works really well with Ketis, right?
Yeah, I mean it
Like
works well
everyone's
with
already
everything.
taking damage.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the flame breather, you don't even have to work for it either. Like it just happens.
2 for 9 seems like a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, I'm no mathematist, but I'd take that deal most days of the week.
Yeah. I love You've Been Caught Stealing because it's, in addition to doing this, it's also just a modal spell. And so sometimes, like in Marhold El's Dragon, you cast You've Been Caught Stealing and just everyone dies immediately.
Yeah.
It's berserk.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so I have a real affinity for Scholar of the Ages, and as a result, I have an affinity for Nuclavy. The issue with Nuclavy is that there are not a high amount of red sorceries I'm excited to return with Nuclavy, but that is on my short list of ones I would like to return.
What are you talking about? There's Flame Rift, which is tutorable with Muddle. Like, what else do you need?
No, okay, you're onto something there.
Yeah.
See, that sounds more like what Rutha wants to be doing, though.
There's room in my heart for both Rutha Flame Rift and Nuclavy Flame Rift.
All right, so yeah, so like there were 3 Black Lotuses sacrificed. So
What a sweet deal.
yeah.
And
What do we? There's a lot of touching of these lands and not a lot of. Okay, now they're tapping.
Turning them sideways. There we go.
Yeah.
yeah, I also wish that Wilson was in there, Gator.
Yeah. I want to look at Jonathan's list more. I'm curious what ways he has to like buff the bear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the bear has a lot of text, but it gets outclassed in combat pretty easily. I mean, I know we saw last time there were a bunch of auras and stuff. But I want to see. I just want to get more of a feel for what's in there. So, oh, interesting. Chum activated Gretchen at the end of a sandwich's turn. Huh.
Interesting.
All right. Jonathan, I believe in you.
Jonathan.
He's not slamming a land into play, though. So
Yeah. That.
maybe that.
is-
Discarding Ranger's Guile.
All right. My faith was misplaced.
Alas.
And then
I
Gretchen
was really
drew
hoping
card.
that he was taking a moment to figure out how to slam a card in OBS.
Yeah.
All right. Gretchen with the land, and I'm going to assume it's just passing. 4 mana. Oh, activating Gretchen main phase. Okay. I am intrigued by that.
This like an urban burgeoning, or are we just
Yeah, I'm not sure. Arbor Elf.
looking for another untapper to play, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm just used to I don't know. I'm just used to doing nothing and passing playing Gretchen, so
It's a it's a very fine strategy with that deck. I am also a fan of the do nothing pass.
yeah. I don't
That's how I play Parcel Beast.
see. That's like Gretchen. It's just like funky Gretchen, right? It's like
It's Gretchen with extra steps. It's
like-
Gretchen at home.
it's like Gretchen's like long lost second cousin or something. Like
But it's the second cousin who's into like weird shit, and like when you see them at the family reunion, you're like, oh god, there's Parcel Beast. Like, what is he gonna try to sell me an MLM for like incense?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Parcel Beast is cool, but then you have to you have to deal with a whole bunch of weird mutate rules, which yeah, no, I'll just stick with my safe little halfling.
It involves a lot more reading for a guy who doesn't know how to read. It's kind of a whole thing.
Yeah. Gator TBD, but we might call it after this one. It depends. That first one took a lot longer than I thought it would for, how far along in the game we jumped in. So, man, I just hope Clay gets to go crazy right now. Getting to untap with a Torched Existence and a Sir Conrad has to be one of the best feelings.
He's sitting on 7 lands, so I mean that's 14 damage.
Yeah. Assuming
just
he has
passes-
a creature in the yard, which I assume is the case. I don't actually know.
He puts Slum Reapers in the yard.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so there's definitely one.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I think right now, if I'm Clay, I'm gonna hope that the rest of the table hasn't done the math on Tordax, and I'm gonna pass the turn.
Oh, we're doing the muck.
Or, hear me out. How about...
Oh no! Is
How
this just 24 damage? Is this?
How about we just kill everyone who isn't named a sandwich?
Wow! What? Yeah, let's go.
Format.
Okay.
Oh, what is he? Oh, hold on.
There's something else going on? Pestilence.
Oh. Huh. I wonder... Oh, he could not have a creature.
He might just not have a creature, yeah.
Clay, what? What have you done?
Yeah, that was a bubbling muck from Clay Vax.
This is not how I expected this turn to go.
Yeah.
How's he playing a Conrad deck that doesn't have a creature? Is he playing a 20 creature Conrad deck? Like last game he hit the Moodmark Painter for 3.
Yeah.
Like where are they? How do you play a Conrad deck with less than 50 creatures?
Yeah. I'm so sad. I'm so sad he doesn't have a creature, because that like taking out. I mean, like I would have felt bad for Jonathan dying and not doing anything, but like just straight up like Chum and Jonathan straight up losing, and then I don't know how Rohan stands much of a chance.
Right? Just
Yeah.
chilling at 2 life in mono red,
Yeah,
like with a Conrad sitting right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's not gonna.
A Buccaneers bravado is your out, I guess. But
Right?
yeah, this is interesting because like Clay can wipe everything, but that also involves wiping a Conrad.
Right. So I mean,
Uh,
I guess this is the situation that I was mentioning in the little pre-show we did, where I was like, there are ways where you can clear the entire board. It's gonna cost you a bubbling muck, a pestilence, your own creature, and your entire turn.
yeah.
Like the costs for doing this are like catastrophic. But it's possible.
Yeah. It
And,
gets
like, he's gotta
Jonathan
make
back
the-
in this game for whatever that's
Yeah.
worth.
Yeah.
And like he's got to make this decision now because like he's got the bubbling muck mana right now to kill Dargo. And if he like it could be that you use the bubbling muck to put pestilence into play and still have lands untapped while you pass the turn, but doing that means that you don't get to kill Dargo anymore. So how important is it to do this main phase while taking Dargo with him?
Yeah.
Looks like it's pretty important. Yep, here it is. 8 mana. Or I guess
I feel like I would have put. I mean, yeah, I think I would have put some into just activating Conrad after the fact, or like in response. But I also don't know how much that matters. But
so we're doing some Gretchen activations in response to the 8 pestilence damage.
Yeah.
Yep. And then this is about to hurt everyone a lot.
Here's a fun fact that I've learned in my years of playing this game. When you do something like this, when you just put when you put 8 activations onto the stack all at once, unless you specifically say otherwise, the rules say that it is assumed that you are letting each one of them resolve individually before putting the next one on the stack.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know exactly which rule, but I died once in a tournament because of that. Because the rule hadn't been in place yet. Like this was like the torment pre-release. I made a stupid play mistake and I activated a swamp walking shade like 3 times at once, and the guy like killed it with a shock in response. Whereas if I had activated them one at a time, like he wouldn't have been able to kill it with a shock.
Yeah.
And that took me from winning the semifinals into a split with my best friend for first, into losing that game, getting paired down, losing the next game. I went from first place to like 9th place
Just
because
happy
of
to
this
be
one
there.
stupid mistake.
Yeah.
And like years later, I was telling a judge friend of mine about that had happened, and he was like, "Oh, there's a rule now that like when you do that, when you pump the shade a bunch, you're assumed to let each resolve individually one at a time before the next one goes on the stack. It's like it's in the rules that saying I pumped for 3, that the default is you assume that is a shortcut for I pump 1, let it resolve, I pump 1, let it resolve, I pump 1, let it resolve."
Yeah. And then
Crit Rat player doesn't win the game. Yeah, we'll see. Gator has made a prediction.
well, his pestilence is about to be gone, so I don't know what we're all still thinking about, but
Yeah.
well, have you ever made the mistake of bolting an X3 Tarmogoyf with no instant in the graveyard?
I have not.
No.
I have not personally made that mistake, but I've heard tales of of that going wrong.
Yeah, I was that dirty rug delver player in Legacy back when that was good. And I distinctly remember a tournament where I played against Mono Red back to back, and back to back rounds I had an opponent bolt a Goyf that was an X3 with no instant in the yard, and I said, okay, that's fine. And then they put their bolt in the yard, and I was like, this is cool. And they're like, why is your Goyf not dead? And I was like, because it's an X4 with 3 damage on it. They never enjoyed that. And I called the same judge. The same judge came to resolve it back to back rounds.
Just had them on speed dial.
Yeah, and they had to be thinking like, wow, like I feel so bad for your opponents who have just thrown bolts away left and right. But
So not only have I never bolted a Goif, I've never actually seen a Goif get played.
you're not missing out. It's not that exciting to watch get played.
I feel like I'm not missing out. I feel like it's a really boring card.
Yeah. It used to be cool, though. It gets buffed by battles now, right? It's bigger. It can be a bigger Goif. So
Sure. It's true.
I mean, when I hear Goif, I think Lurgoif, and I just get excited. But then it's a different Goif that's
Sorry.
not exciting, and I get sad about it.
yeah.
How long do you think before it gets downshifted?
Tarmogoyf? Ugh. A while, probably. I feel like it's one of those cards that's just because of its name, because of its notoriety, it just won't happen, right?
Sure, it gets a pass for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the honorary ring of never being below a rare,
Yeah.
if such a thing exists. So, oh hey,
Speaking of
All right, Wilson.
impactful
Wilson
two
is back.
drops,
yeah,
Wilson is on the board.
Jonathan did it. He drew a 4th land.
Now we can put the goggles on and actually draw some cards.
Draw more lands.
It's time to make me look like the big dumb idiot for ever suggesting that should have been a Behold the Multiverse. I believe in you, Jonathan.
Yeah, that'll teach you. Then we got Gretchen coming back.
I think this is the turn of casting commanders. We got Kedis, Wilson, Gretchen. I bet we see Conrad right here.
I bet we see a Conrad and then a Dargo. I bet we see just 5 commanders in a row. Oh, and
Let's go.
And a Portent Tracker.
Portent Tracker. Yep.
I like that.
For a fraction of a second, I was sitting here thinking, man, that Gretchen's been putting a lot of cardboard on the field. She must be running out of cards in hand. And then I was like, oh wait, no, that's not how Gretchen works. Never mind.
Gretchen gets to draw cards and ramp at the same time.
Unfair. Yep, there we go. There's Conrad. Okay, we're 4 for 4.
All right, come
Can
on.
we go
Sandwich.
5 for 5? Sandwich, you've got a Black Lotus right there.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Is Kedis gonna get through? Oh, Kedis is gonna have Menace. So yeah, Kedis is coming through
Yeah.
for the treasure.
Yeah, I mean, even without
All right.
it was good, but yeah, that makes it that much easier.
I mean, if the Black Lotus is available, the Black Lotus is getting used. God, I love the beat stick.
I am realizing I have not given that card enough credit because I have not seen it played much, and it
Yeah,
seems awesome.
When it got spoiled, I read it really fast, and I missed the part with Menace, and I was like, oh, it's just another gold vein pick. We didn't need a third one, and I wasn't hyped about it. And then I actually read it again, and I was like, oh, actually, this card is nuts.
Yeah.
Menace goes hard. We did need a third one, says Mountain Headed. I just wasn't sure why it was mono red, because it to me it felt like strictly worse than gold vein pick, because it was color restricted. I was like, what benefit is this bringing us to justify its color identity? And then I actually read the card. I did briefly learn how to read.
I'm so
Read the
proud of
card.
you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll read for mono red stuff sometimes.
Well, the good thing about mono red is you don't have to read a whole lot. Typically, it's deal X
Exactly.
damage, and then
Yeah.
and then you're good.
Yeah, and then the card ends. It's nothing like Questing Beast that just keeps going.
Ugh. Or
The
Wilson.
card, the text, or Wilson.
The
Who would
questing beast of our
guessed it?
format.
Yeah.
who'd have guessed that green would be the card that you have to read a lot for? That doesn't seem right.
They like large creatures and large text boxes.
Yeah.
All right, here comes the Dargo.
Mountain's out here calling me out for text boxes with the Dargo on the stack. Yeah, okay. In fairness, I've never actually read the Dargo card. I just kind of like people tell me that it's cheap when you sacrifice things, and I trust them. So
Yeah.
I've never had to suffer through the actual reading of it.
Too many words. Agreed.
Too many words.
All right, Jonathan, time to do your thing. For like everything that happened, Clay's pestilence was a pretty big equalizer there. Like life totals are
Yeah.
all precarious for everyone. Like
Yeah. Very
And like
true.
I'm wondering if people have just forgotten about Tordex. Like the pestilence as a distraction maneuver to reset everyone and get everyone focused on building back their boards while Clay goes, okay, like I've still got 7 mana and Tordex. I can do 14 to the table right now. Like, is that
Yep.
that how this game is about to end?
yeah,
Is Clay single-handedly going to bring back these black stats?
All right. The bear
is big.
is a large bear.
It's a large
getting
flying
swole.
bear.
It's Rancor and like Spectral Flight.
Yeah.
Yep.
+1/+1 in flying.
+2/+2 in flying.
Plus
Yeah.
2/+2 in flying.
Spectral Flight
That's
is a very good card. Yeah.
A 6/4 bear. It's not small.
It's a scare bear.
Not small at all.
I am curious. Oh, it went at Rohan. A sandwich. All right. So
Interesting.
I think people might be forgetting. Look at Clay's face. You could just tell he's like,
Clay.
are people really forgetting? Is this going to happen?
Clay's out here like, play cool, play cool.
He's just got to
Moderate
fade. He's got to
the
fade
heart
one
rate.
turn from Gretchen.
Yeah. Gretchen needs exactly freed from the real or some land enchantments and stuff, but
If he pulls freed from the real, he'll be able to use that Portent tracker to just absolutely annihilate a battle. He's running the fingers so fast he sees it.
he knows.
Clay knows. I mean, I think I'd like to think Clay's known the whole time. The question is going to be, does Clay have a creature in his hand?
Yeah. I mean, he's gotten a few draws. Well, he got a draw step last time, and he gets one more. I mean,
Yeah.
there's is that Fertile Ground, I think?
Looks like a fertile ground. Yeah.
I can't see.
Okay. So now we got a forest that taps for 3.
Yeah. I don't know that there's much. I don't know what version Chum is running. He and I talk about Gretchen a lot. I don't know if. I think he's playing a version with a lot less in the way of I mean, kind of doing the turbo ignore your opponent thing. So unless he has the cap size or something, like he's gonna be in a
I
world of
don't.
hurt.
Capsize doesn't stop anything if Clay gets an untap.
If you capsize Sir
Is he-
Conrad right here, it's pretty good.
Right. But like if Clay gets an untap,
Yeah,
then capsize stops being useful.
yeah. And Chum is activating,
Or digging for a
or
capsize.
did it? Yeah, activated it. Digging for a capsize or a freed. Both are pretty
Yeah,
sweet
I
right now.
Freed seems pretty good, I guess.
Yeah. There's not. So, Clay could have a snuff out. A sandwich could have a thunderclap, and then there's like
Thunderclap.
vines from Jonathan could do it, but
Ooh, cycling a Vizier to untap the land.
there's not a lot of outs.
Yeah,
Is what I'm saying. Fire blast. Good point.
yeah.
Oh, does Dargo see the sacrificed mountains? Is that why Fire Blast is in there, or is it just
No,
because
it
it's free?
doesn't. Yeah, it's just because
Oh, okay.
if it was in there, I don't know if it's in the deck, but
That is another
Artifacts and
feature.
creatures. See, Sea Mountain. I've never read Dargo.
yeah.
I don't know
Me
what
too.
it does. Every time I try to read Dargo, I just get distracted by the stat line. I'm like, ooh, 7/5.
Clay's
I
just
see the
like
7/5. I see the trample. That's all I need.
Clay's just itching to get to his turn. So am I though.
Yeah.
So I guess Jonathan could have a snapback. That's like the only. I'm just trying to think of. There's not
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
Yeah.
What is going on?
And if Clay gets an untap, none of those things stop his
Correct.
combo.
Yeah. Once if he has a
I
creature in
just-
hand and he gets to
Yeah.
go to his turn, it's
He's
over.
you see him rubbing his hands together. he's so thirsty for this,
Yeah.
and I am too. Godspeed, Clay. I'm with you.
I do wish I knew what they were talking about to see if they're even like registering the problem that is Clay right now.
Yeah, I have no idea. To be a fly on the wall, though.
All right, activating Gretchen again.
Yeah. I mean, these are all good players. I would not be surprised if they knew that Clay is a threat here, and maybe it's just
How
maybe
it's
they
gonna
can't
shake
stop
out.
him at the moment. Yeah.
I mean, there weren't exactly many like the 6 damage could have gotten thrown at Clay, but that didn't kill Clay. And
Right.
like,
Yeah. This elf isn't gonna do it.
nope. Clay's
Yeah. Yeah. I think they all know what's about to happen.
yeah.
I just saw Clay's gesture like
Yeah.
a couple seconds after you guys
it's
did.
like a fist bump, basically.
Yeah.
Fist pump.
Just
rather.
pumping his arms in the air.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
Alright.
They can feel it.
Lots of talking. Let's just, if we're dead, we're dead. Let it happen. Bring it on.
show me the creature. Let it be Stinkweed Imp. Lots of talking, no answers.
Agreed. What do we do?
Sometimes it be like that.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Does Clay have the creature?
Show it to me, Clay.
He has a land. All right. He's doing
Activate
it.
tortured
Delay of
existence.
game.
Newt.
Slow play, Judge.
All right. Kill you all.
We're doing the thing.
There it is. What creature is that?
It's a festering newt for a slum reaper, and then a slum reaper for a festering newt, and then
Yep.
Okay.
and then everyone's dead. So it sounds like maybe not everyone understood they were dead because of how Clay is explaining it, but
We're
They
making
are.
the triangle of death.
Yeah.
Newt, Tordex, Slum Reaper.
Yeah, so it's 2 damage per thing because you have a creature going to your graveyard and a creature coming out of the graveyard.
Yeah.
So he has more than enough to
Each
kill
black
everyone.
mana is 2 damage.
Mhm.
He's got 8 swamps is 16 black mana, or 16 damage.
Yeah. What do
Yeah.
we?
That's it. And at this point, no one can stop it.
Well, okay. So there is one spot where you can like after the card is discarded, if you bounce the Skirt Conrad or deal with the Skirt Conrad, there is like a moment where you
Yeah,
can.
there's a
Sure.
But
Because
if we-
I guess
that would
you,
require
can't-
snapback.
yeah.
yeah.
I guess the other way would be to Fairy Macabre does it,
Yep.
but no
Yeah,
one.
there are no black decks.
No one's
other
got
than
the
Sir
Macabre.
Conrad.
No one can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, this turn is going on long enough that I'm beginning to suspect that very few of Clay's opponents
Yeah.
recognized the threat.
Yeah. Okay, so now Chum's trying to do something, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
What
I
he
don't know.
has.
I don't know what he can draw into, but might as well activate, I guess. Island.
You have a single blue and nothing. Okay.
All right,
All right, got the thumbs up.
All right.
There it is.
there it is. Clay is single-handedly bringing black and mid-range back into the competitive scene.
Clay
We're
heard
doing it.
us, and he
Yeah.
took it personally. So
He did, and
Yeah,
I love that he did that. This
Yeah.
pleases me enormously.
absolutely.
Who's betting on Clay?
Ankylosaur and
Vax.
Vax, enjoy your plethora of
Nice.
points.
Nicely done.
What you'll do with them, that's for you to
Just-
figure
Wales,
out.
I want to know that too. I really want to know if he
Ooh.
drew into the newt or if he had the newt on the bubbling muck turn. Like, could he have just killed 2 of the players instead of killing all the creatures?
I'm gonna message him.
Do it.
Did you have a creature on the bubbling muck turn?
Did you have a creature in hand?
We'll need to know. In hand. Vax is bouncing with their winnings.
Peace. Ow.
Nice. Yeah,
Take
no,
the-
those.
Take the money and run.
Yeah, Tortex is definitely a hell of a card. It's super busted with Sir Conrad. Clay said he did not have a creature on the bubbling muck turn, which
Okay.
confirms
Okay.
our suspicions. So,
Yeah.
thanks, Vax. It was fun having you around and watching. So definitely make sure to join us next week and the week after, and so on and so forth. So,
Commentating this was a really good time. I enjoy both of your company a lot.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was awesome. I'm glad that we got to do this together.
Yeah.
Gonna
Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna either do this again or play in this next time. Definitely one of those.
Yeah. It was definitely, yeah. I mean, thank you both for coming. I know I always appreciate talking to both of you. So it was a blast. And yeah, I know for those who don't listen to the PDH pod, 1, how could you? 2, go listen to this week's episode like I'm going to on all places where your podcast can be found. And you'll listen to Alk's sweet and sultry voice, as well as Brad, Liam, and their guest Gatorbait this week. And then for Ankylosaur has a really cool YouTube channel with some awesome YouTube videos, I would argue. Except no one's going to argue because they're great. So I will put
It's
links
true.
somewhere. I meant to have that done, and now I'm realizing I forgot to do that. So shame on me. But I hope you'll all forgive me because this was such an awesome time. So cool. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I guess we'll call it here. But definitely make sure, if you want a chance to win tokens, get playing games if you haven't already. They'll count if you play at any time tonight. And then we'll give away some tokens tomorrow and be back here again next week with a new cast of PDH folks. So any
Perfect.
parting words from either of you two?
What is the thing that Brad says? Build a deck, play some games, and get tokens.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. This was a great time.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next week.
Cheers.